What's going on, everyone? This is Fighting Words with Kevin Shells. I'm Shells.
Kev, 8 Count Sports. What's going on? What's going on,
What's
man?
good, bro? What's good, my dude?
I'm good.
Controversial night,
man. Huh?
Controversial night, man.
Think controversy?
Anytime it's a draw, it's controversy, especially a split draw. A split draw, bro.
I'll say it. Maybe it's controversy because what was at stake. Because of what was at
I give you that.
So if you just had a regular contender.
What about the 10-8 round 5, 10-8? That's not controversial, you think?
You know what's crazy about that? Well,
it's just another word for controversial. We keep doing that. All right.
We gotta take a step back.
First and foremost, happy Independence Day, Mexico.
Yes.
That's number one.
Yes. Shout out to you for getting independence. Very important thing. We have to definitely brush up on our history. That way we don't make the same mistakes in the future, right? So it's a beautiful thing. Shout out to Mexico.
And their rich history in the fighting community, their rich fighting heritage.
Listen, especially in MMA, it's been really picking up as of late. Brendan Moreno becoming the first Mexican champ. And then earlier this year in March, Alexa Grasso picking up
one of the biggest upsets.
Yeah, against one of the GOATs, one of the all-time legends on the women's side in MMA. I wouldn't even say women's side. The MMA, the women's side is rich. You're talking about Cyborg, Nunez, Rousey. For her to Valentina's held it down for quite some time, and
Valentina is literally, you know who Valentina is to me? I don't know if I said this before. I'm gonna say it again if I did.
Yeah.
Valentina is literally, you know those old school 007 movies where James Bond is with this double agent chick, like he's the American spy and she's a Russian spy, and she falls in love with him, like he always knocks the girl like that. That's the other spy. She's literally that, bro. She's an assassin. She should be in a 007 movie, for real.
Yeah.
She should be in a 007
posture,
movie.
her everything.
Everything. She's a real life 007 assassin. You heard it here first,
Bullet,
guys.
she got shot before, I think.
You serious?
I think that's why she got the nickname Bullet. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, she got shot.
That should be her post-career journey after this MMA thing. She needs to get into movies, those action movies.
It'll work, and she's well respected. I think that goes a long way too. Everybody knows who she is. I think that goes.
So, like we were saying, we were talking about Valentina Shevchenko versus the champ.
Alexa Grasso, excuse me.
Grasso, exactly. Part 2.
Part 1 was exciting and dramatic at the end. I think the excitement surrounding part 1 was Valentina was so dominant. I would say coming up to maybe one fight prior to that fight, Valentina was still had the juice. And nobody knew who Grasso was. I'm gonna be completely real with you. We dismissed.
We disrespect. We gotta put that.
Fight?
We need to. Did we put official apology? We already apologized. Yeah, we already apologized, but we got apologized again. Like, that was ridiculous.
Alexa Grasso for that. I remember you brought it to my attention. I'm like, this is come through, run through.
another made to order for another champ, right? This is the made to order curse. Like every time you sit down, made to order, bro. They got the Drake curse, the Manning curse. They got the made to order curse.
Yeah, the man. But that fight, the dramatic part was on their feet. I remember Shevchenko couldn't really get it down. It was even. It was like an even playing field in the stand-up. And then the next thing you know, Valentina's getting choked out. It was the most shocking result of the year. I would think.
According to Joe, she got that sunburn. According to Joe Rogan, she got that sunburn.
Insert the picture right there.
Yeah, she got that sunburn, bro.
But coming in, one thing we didn't mention, we covered this fight earlier in the week, but later on in the week, Valentina came off very dismissive of Alexa Grasso. I felt she came off a bit dismissive. She at least verbally in what she was saying. She was basically saying the only reason why she wanted to fight was because Valentina had to get aggressive, because basically it was a standstill. The striking wasn't this and that. And Grasso's response was, well, you're supposed to be the dangerous striker, yet you kept trying to take me down all night. What's going on? And I thought it was very interesting. Valentina, at least verbally sound dismissive of Grasso, and very confident, extremely confident.
Yeah, I remember you talked about that, and my perspective or opinion on that is, how else are you? What other attitude are you supposed to have walking into that octagon, bro? Especially when you're so much of a dominant champion. Like, at the end of the day, you have to take it as a fluke. If you're so used to dominate your opponents, the words you use, made to order. All your opponents was basically made to order, and all of a sudden, nobody come out the blue and take away all you've been fighting for. How you just gonna go sleep at night thinking like, yo, it's my time? Because only two ways you go about this is you either say this was a fluke and it's more about what I didn't do as opposed to what she did, or they're catching up to me.
Well, my thing is,
you know what I'm saying?
I feel all that, but she ain't had to come out and say that. I mean, you can think that, but when you come out and saying it, I mean, are you?
That could be part of the mind games, bro.
You trying to convince?
That's true too, but that could be a part of the mind games.
Could have been.
Let her know, like, yo, listen, I really don't take you serious, and let her second guess herself. I think it's called gaslighting when you have people change their.
I'm sure it is.
Have people change their perspective. Like, yo, you can beat me. I beat myself. You just there. You know what I'm saying?
You had enough for the ticket. You just had enough for the ticket. You know what I mean?
Say that again?
You just had enough for a ticket. You just happened to be there.
You won the lotto. You ain't do no work. You just won the lotto. You hit the right numbers at the right time. That's all you did. You ain't earned that money. But that being said, what were your thoughts on
it was an awesome
Grasso
fight.
Shevchenko too?
It was an awesome fight, bro.
Yeah.
Like if you, to anybody that thought Grasso winning was a fluke, I mean, I think it was when that right hand landed in the second round, it was like, man, I've never seen anybody drop Valentina. Not in my memory. And she's been in the ring with Amanda Nunes, Juliana Pena, like the best of
some top tier,
young J-Check, everybody,
top tier.
Yo.
When I saw that, it reminded me of the when we had the pre-show about the fight, and we pointed out that what made us say that Grasso was going to win after a decision was the fact that in the first fight, it's the first time that we really saw Shevchenko having trouble with someone on the feet to the point where she's trying to use her ground. She was trying to change the flow of the fight with her ground game.
Yeah.
And I saw the exact same thing at this fight too as well. I saw Shevchenko make improvements.
Yeah.
Definitely made improvements. Yeah, definitely made improvements. But
she in order to win the first round, they were
the ground game,
even terms on the feet, and then they got close and she took it down. Matter of fact,
that's where I saw the improvement at.
But the interesting thing was, as I was watching the fight, Alexa was really good with her ground defense. It was first of all, she was difficult to get down. It seemed like when she did get down, it was taken out. It seemed like it was like tricky takedown, like the back leg sweep. Like it wasn't a takedown. Like
she was using everything in a tool set.
Not incidental. Like just Valentina had to be really crafty and slick.
She had to use every trick in a tool set to get her down.
Yeah. This was such a really great fight. You can appreciate Valentina, but then
you can appreciate both fighters.
Grasso being able to defend her championship against that kind of income. It felt like if you watch the fight early, it felt like Valentina wasn't taking a backward step. She was trying to nail Grasso.
Trying to keep that pressure on her.
Yeah, she was ready to exchange, but once she realized, okay, I'm not winning this way, then
she went for the ground game.
Yeah, she had to improve, which is dope. To be able to make adjustments is
that's what makes her the champ that she has been.
Exactly. To have that in your toolbox is something else. But everything she did seemingly got neutralized, bro. Seemingly like Grasso had an answer for everything.
Even when she put on the ground, she didn't keep on the ground for long. She couldn't keep on the ground
for long. Couldn't keep her down there for long. All right, so I'm gonna be real with you. That both fighters had their moments. I think Grasso's moments, to those who felt like she won, I felt like her moments were more defining per se. Like the knockdown in the second and the way the fight ended with that kind of dominance at the end.
Yeah.
Which I'm you asked the question before we actually started to analyze the fight. I'm gonna touch on that 2-point round. I thought Shevchenko pulled it out. I know she wasn't as dominant in her spots, but I felt that I believe it was rounds 1, 3, and 4 I had for Shevchenko, but 3 was close. I remember 3 being a bit of a toss-up. Maybe I'm not debatable. It's definitely a debatable, bro. If I'm telling you it's 2 to 2,
and bro, you know my saying with that, bro. You know my saying with that.
If I'm telling you that, yeah. So
to beat the champ, you gotta beat the champ.
That's what I texted you last night as a question. Yeah. That's your statement. I asked you that as a question. How you feel about it? And you doubled down. So
bro.
Yeah, I'm with that. So let's get to the 2-point round, because that was the deciding factor in the draw, folks. This fight was a draw. If we hadn't said it already, this fight became a draw. And in a tie, a draw, the title does not change hands.
Exactly.
So it's not a win for Grasso, but she still retains.
As Shevchenko said, it's not a win for me, and it was not a loss for me, but it's not a victory for me either.
It's definitely not a win for her. It's definitely not a win, because now I get the impression she's not getting a rematch.
That's what I want to get to. Do you think she deserved the rematch? You want me to answer first, or you?
Do I think she deserves a rematch?
Yeah.
You might as well. No, you know what? Let me answer first, because my answer is repetitive.
Okay.
My answer is always repetitive.
Gotcha.
Granted that this was the rematch. I understand the concept of maybe not giving her the rematch, but I think because it was a draw. I mean, I'm always in favor of the champion, especially a great champion, a champion that defends getting a rematch. I don't mind giving Valentina the rematch, only from the perspective, and maybe this is more personal than maybe being fair. I think if she doesn't get the rematch, she would have to leave the weight class. I feel like she would. I think the opportunity would be at the vacant bantamweight. And I want to jump too far ahead of future, what was for them in the future, but I like the rematch. I think maybe it's I don't want to say stale. They're fighting to a standstill, and I don't think Valentina can fight any better than she has. I'm being completely real with you. So I don't mind them going in a different direction, especially with the young women that are in that division right now. I do not mind seeing those other matchups, but I like to pay homage to my legends. There wasn't a clear-cut winner in this fight, and to be completely honest with you, I had Valentina winning, and the scoring at the end, I'm not opposed to it. I think it's a bit controversial maybe, but I'm not opposed to it. My definition of and not to stay on your stay where you are, because I'm not.
I'm good. No.
I'm a boxer.
Okay.
So a 2-point round is either a knockdown or somebody getting beat from pillar to post. So where the referee is basically playing double dutch and whether or not he's about to jump in. That's a 2-point. In MMA, the scoring is a bit more complex, because you have takedowns, you have knockdowns, you have ground control. There's a million things that can be scored in an MMA fight. At first, I wasn't with the 2-point. I didn't see where it was a 2-point round, because I thought Valentina, it was an even playing field until the back end of it. But then DC said something. He didn't agree with it either, but he said something that he said, I don't think this is a 2-point round, because, a 2-point round should be when somebody, at least, if not a knockdown, is on the verge of being stopped. She was on the verge of being stopped. And in that, to me, now I'm not saying, I'm leaving this out there in regards, because I think MMA scoring it's based on discretion. It's based on discretion. It's a discretion thing. I didn't, watching it in the moment, I didn't think it was a 2-point round. If we're going by the criteria of somebody nearly being stopped, then maybe, because I think she was on the cusp. She was almost choked out. Then Grasso had position where she was punching her in the back of the head. Got a bunch of punches off in the back of the head before Valentina was able to really change her positioning. So that last minute and a half,
I was gonna say that that 5th round was kind of close up until then.
No, it was
the thing that tipped the scale.
It was Valentina getting desperate again. And shout out to her for trying to kind of push the envelope for the win. Not sitting there and just coasting, thinking that she just had it in the bag or something like that. But man, she got aggressive and she paid again. And I don't think it was a 2-point round. I'm gonna stick to how I felt in a moment. But if you guys feel like a 2-point round, discretional is somebody almost getting stopped, then that might have met the criteria.
I mean, I agree with that. This is not the first time this has happened. Where a lot of times the way the fight ends, especially if it's so close like that, could be the thing that makes that tips the scale for what the judges. The last minute. That's why a lot of these guys go like you need to go hard. Like even if you think you got the round, you need to go hard on them at least last 30 seconds. You need to go out with something to show the judge if you leave it in the hands of the judges. Now, getting to your question in regards to rematches. You're doubling down on your philosophy that legends deserve their rematches.
I do. But I understand that this was the rematch. Mm-hmm. I understand that, and I understand if that's not the thing. But I'll always feel that way, especially towards Valentina.
The legends, the GOATs.
Yeah, I wouldn't go against it the other way.
I'm about to double down on my stance, which is. I told you already, Kev, the last show. There are two things I hate. There's two things I hate, bro. Those rap videos that say continue, they never continue, and unfinished trilogies. I agree with you, bro. She deserves a rematch. This is an unfinished trilogy. There are 2 fights, 1-0. We don't know who's the best yet. It's not 2 out of 3. Until it's 2 out of 3, the trilogy is not closed.
Yeah.
So I do believe that they have to sell it with that next rematch, and I'm gonna double down harder. And if Shevchenko wins that one, they got to go for a 4th one, bro. That's just how I feel. That's my stance. It's probably extreme, but that's my stance. You gotta finish the trilogy. It gotta be 2 out of 3. 2-0-1, 2 out of 3. That's why going back to boxing, I love the rivalry between Fury and Wilder. Cause that's exactly how it went down. The first was a draw. The next it was Fury. The trilogy is over. If Wilder had won any of those subsequent fights after that draw, I would have demanded a 4th fight. Just like I'm demanding a 4th one if Shevchenko is granted a rematch and wins it. So she deserves a rematch, especially someone that's dominated her. And that fight was so close. That fight was so close.
Yeah.
It was not dominant. Yeah, so
a
legitimate
draw. It was a legitimate draw.
So
yeah, I mean, no arguments.
So yeah, I definitely deserve.
But here's what I will say, and I just want to put this out there, and this is why I say I'm not opposed, even though
no, we're not opposed. There's a whole bunch. Like I'm never opposed if you see I don't go as hard as for you. Like if the ref, like for example, Aljo is not being granted his rematch, which I think is the biggest crime.
I gotta send you an article about that too.
It is the biggest crime. But am I gonna protest by not watching O'Malley versus Chio? No.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Am I any less excited about that bout? No.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I say that these former champs deserve their rematches, to me I still understand at the end of the day, the fight business is about what have you done for me lately. It don't care how great you are.
Yeah.
Once you lose that fight,
that's right.
That's a wrap.
Is what I told you in regards to Juliana. My quote was, yes, she should get the rematch, but that's the penalty of losing, bro. You can't lose. You can't. That's the penalty of losing. Like I'm not obviously things. Nobody's perfect, but
I like that.
Know that comes with
losing. It. Yeah,
that comes with it. You
at the mercy of whatever. Yeah.
Yo, that comes with it. Leverage everything, especially you a champion.
Yeah.
That come with it.
And you know what I loved about this fight? I love what the part 2 is more drama-filled than part 1.
Exactly.
And part 1 was crazy exciting.
And part 1 was you would think it couldn't get any more dramatic than that. The upset, the underdog, the stoppage, and then you get this. The underdog proving her point and leaving the champion with questions. The former champion with questions. And that's a great way to segue into
a third fight.
Yeah.
Which I believe they should.
Segue into the future.
Okay, well,
I won't say third fight.
I believe that's what should be. I believe that's what the future should be. If you're asking what should be next, I think the third fight should be next.
It ain't gonna be that. The reason why it's not gonna be that is because you got a hot up and coming prospect on fire right now. Erin Blanchfield. Right now. She just took out Santos, who gave Valentina all she can handle. Speaking of, I felt like Santos should have got a rematch, but that's neither here nor there. But
I feel you.
I feel you. You got a up and coming. You want to see how great Grasso is. You don't want her I kind of feel like as a company, you may not want to see her just kind of locked in this bubble with Valentina all day. She got the win the first time. She proved that she proved it wasn't a fluke the second time. Maybe that I see that being the next fight, man. How about Valentina? If Valentina stays, how about Valentina and Santos? Or
Nah. If that's the case, you move up the weight. If I'm Valentina, you don't stay. Give me the rematch, or I'm moving the weight class to go for that belt.
Okay. Do you think that was resolved? Valentina and Santos.
Valentina and Santos. Yeah, because whatever happens in the octagon happens in the octagon. And when I say that, I mean this: the fight was so close. And this why, because you said right on the wall. I think the right on the wall, we saw happen to it. I think the first crack was that Santos body. It exposed, like it made a. You know what it's like? What that Santos fight was like? Remember, you know the movie 300, right?
Yeah.
Alright. So remember when the king, what's his name, Leonidas?
Yeah.
He said, "Yo, not even the Hunchback." When Leonidas told Xerxes, the emperor, say, "Listen, before this is over, they're gonna know that even gods could bleed." And during their last bout, he threw the spear. He didn't kill Xerxes, but he split his pierce and made him bleed. So everybody saw, oh, he's mortal too.
Yeah.
That's what that Santos fight did. It showed everybody, oh, she could bleed. She bleeds just like us. Yeah. And Grasso came and finished it. What I was gonna say about Santos in that bout was that to me, in my personal opinion, the headbutt, which caused Santos her eye. The fight was that close that she had one eye. Imagine you had her full vision. To me, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you can't. But at the end of the day, to me, that's not enough to justify a rematch, because what happens in the octagon happens in the octagon. It happened. You know what I mean? So now a rematch isn't justified. And you just said she lost
Blanchfield.
She lost to Blanchfield. So in her case, a rematch would eventually be justified. But if I was Valentina, I wouldn't go for it, because at the end of the day, because of my status, that draw to me earned me the right to a rematch. And if I can't get my rematch, I'm moving up I'm moving up a weight
bantamweight.
Class
Bantamweight.
And get that thing and get that belt.
You like her chances up there
against Juliana? Cause I think Juliana should be definitely the next one.
They talking about Juliana and Raquel fighting, and Raquel Pennington fighting for the belt. That's the rumor. That's in the rumor.
Then if that's the case, then I don't want to jump the gun and talk on it then, because we gotta wait to see how them two do. If that's the case, that's the case. But if they grant Valentina the fight against Juliana for the belt right away, as opposed to her waiting, do I like her chances against Valentina? Bro, at this point, bro,
Valentina beat her already.
She did, but this was before she created one of the greatest upsets. Like that puts a bat in your back that's different, bro. No, think about the psychology of it, because fighting's a mind game too. She just coming off a win, and in her heart of hearts, she didn't get the rematch she deserved against Nunes. And Valentina's coming off of not two losses, but at the end of the day, 2 non-victories. So
3 competitive fights.
Very competitive fights. So
the
right in the wall could be there too, but we're gonna save that. We're gonna save that. We're gonna see how things play out. We're gonna see how things play out, man. We're gonna see how things play out.
So Grasso and Blanchfield, how would you see that going? Have you seen Blanchfield?
Yeah, I've seen Blanchfield.
This is because Grasso is a pleasant surprise for me. I mean, before Valentina, I didn't really know about Grasso at all. Now everybody else, yes, I knew Santos, I knew Farad and them, but not Grasso. So this is a pleasant surprise to see that she's that good. I mean, so her against the up and coming prospect, man. Not even prospect, contender. Like, forget prospect.
At this very point, because nothing's official yet, I don't want to go too in depth, but I would say this: if they do face off, I think it'll be a grappling situation. I think it'll be, and I love those kinds of fights. I think it'll be a grappling masterclass, one of those type of situations. So that's what I think. That's
And
what
we
I
haven't
think.
seen Blanchfield in a 5-round fight yet. So
We have never seen the 5-round fight. That is true. That is true.
it's a big difference.